Hey all, it's the Poor Sports Seattle podcast. This is Casey McLean. And yesterday, like about 47,000 other people, I was at my first Mariners playoff game of my life. Certainly not a unique story in this area, and I want to talk to you about the experience. All right, folks. So, I got to go to game 5 of the ALCS. Like I said, not an uncommon story, but it was my first Mariners playoff game ever. I went to a Seahawks playoff game, and I want to say like 2013, maybe. It was against the Saints, and it was very rainy. This is my memory. I worked for a company, and we had a guy that was trying to win some business from us. And then what was funny is the weather forecast was really bad. It was like mid 30s and like pouring rain. And he offered me tickets, and I was like, yes, I'll take them. And then he attempted to get several more people from other companies. I was the only person that would go. So I went to this game with him. By the way, drank like on his company's dime. I probably had 10 or 12 stadium beers. He had 10 or 12 stadium beers. What I will say is, and this is, I think the statute of limitations would be up on this. Um, he brought his children because nobody else would take these tickets. So it's me, his two sons, and him were, by the way, just absolutely hammered. And then he fell asleep on the train back, which was hilarious. He was going to drive all the way out there, by the way. And if you got, I don't know if I could have gotten in a car with someone who had 10 beers at a stadium, but I was a little stupider back then. But so this is the way it went for me. I was planning on I wanted to go to an ALDS game. It didn't work out. I also I think like a lot of people, I had the kind of sticker shock of going like I was like if I can get tickets at List, I'm gonna get them. What I didn't know is that List was gonna be like 800% to 1,000% of regular season price. I assumed they'd be a little bit higher. I thought it would be like somewhere between 50 and 100% higher. And obviously, I mean, the games are selling out. What I'll say is, and you can put this into action right now. Download the StubHub app. Use whatever app you would use to buy secondary market tickets, whatever that is. I don't know what the good one is. I use StubHub, but this isn't like StubHub specific. If you're not going to go to if the Mariners make it to the World Series, and I know it's a big if, by the way, I'm not trying to take that for granted. I want to also make clear I don't think that me saying it has any. I don't believe in jinxes. I don't believe in curses until we're right in the moment. Until I'm at a bar in Portland, now I'm trying to remember if I even talked about watching the games in Portland, or I tried to record a couple podcasts this week and they were just so bad that I didn't put them out. But um, the take your app. If you're not going to go on game like the first game that's in Seattle, see what the prices are a day or two before, and then an hour before game time, check the same app. And here's what I'm telling you. 3 weeks out, people want to make their plans. There are people who cannot live with uncertainty. And I understand that I'm married to one of these people. My wife needs certainty. I don't necessarily. So I can go. My original plan that I think I talked about on the podcast, but maybe not, was to go up to Seattle, be around the stadium, and then about an hour before find tickets, get those tickets, go into the stadium. I ended up jumping that by about 7 or 8 hours. I found tickets in a my favorite section of the stadium is the lower right field bleachers, where Eugenio Suarez hit the home run, where Cal Raleigh, the first inning Cal Raleigh double was like directly below me. You could actually see me briefly on camera. I was 5 rows back. There's a guy with a big "hit it here" sign. I was 2 rows back of that guy. By the way, that guy, I will say, I have some video from the game because there were some Canadians in the row between us. And I have some video of these Canadians were like so nice until the 9th inning, and then they became less polite. They stopped living up to the Canadian stereotype. Um, I so anyways, I got those tickets for $250. I'm going to tell you the whole thing. $250. I got a single ticket, and then immediately had buyer's remorse because once I bought that single ticket, whatever the like automatic price drop thing that happened, the guy next to me that ended up next to me, he bought it and his price was $238. So I would have saved $12. But I needed a little bit of certainty. This was a price I was okay with, and I yeah, it was a price I was okay with in a spot in the stadium I was willing to sit in, that I was happy to sit in. Some of those like I'm like when I sit in the 300 level, I feel like it's Little League day, and half the people up there aren't paying attention. Like I basically won't sit up there as an adult. Would I do it for the World Series? Listen, if you got tickets and you want to sell them to me for inexpensive, sure. I think that you can get prices below list, below the craziest price that you see leading up to the game. So if you have the stomach for it, wait till an hour before the game, a half hour before the game, and you're gonna find tickets potentially below list price, by the way. If the Mariners play in the World Series, they'll play the Dodgers. There's one, Dodgers fans all over the place. Two, LA to Seattle's not a long distance to travel. World Series tickets would probably be more expensive, so maybe it won't be quite as drastic. But yeah, check it out. I would check it out. As far as the game went, I did something that I don't think I've ever done. I've probably done it in life, but not at a Mariners game. Which is I had a buddy that I was planning on doing this whole thing with, and then we had kind of a miscommunication. It's Andrew Rivers is the buddy, which by the way, go to his Instagram page because he posted a video of he was sitting one person over. The guy sitting to his right was the guy who put his hands on the Eugenio Suarez Grand Slam first. The guy who it came directly to. That guy missed it. It fell under the seats and someone else ended up with it, I believe. But he has a great video where he's videoing Eugenio Suarez. You can see he like does actually a pretty good job of panning the camera up. You see the ball floating in the air, it gave me the feeling of when you played baseball, when I played baseball and a fly ball would come your way, where it just would kind of feel like if you knew where you needed to be, it felt like the ball was just kind of hovering in the air. You could see it hovering in the air, and then it comes down and then hits this guy's hand, and then there's chaos to pick it up. Pretty cool video. Yeah, so go check that out. Really good stuff. Buddy of mine. So his and my plan was to do this like wait till the last minute thing, and then he didn't think he was going to go to that game, and I betrayed him by getting my tickets early. So it would have been less expensive. I did check it when I was on the Sounder train on the way up, and I could have gotten theoretically less expensive seats, but I love those seats. I love the lower right field bleacher seats. They're my favorite seats in the ballpark. Like I said, I've never no, I have been in a suite at the old Safeco Field, now T-Mobile Park, but it was years ago, and it was like right after I turned 21, and we just mostly drank free beer. So yeah, outside of a suite where you have free beer, I do think that those right field bleachers, they feel the most like baseball to me. There's a feel I want out of a baseball game that I get there that I don't get in box seats, that I don't get in Diamond Club seats. Like I don't want this luxurious pampered experience. I want a baseball experience, and I think the game is easier to watch from the bleachers. It replicates the TV experience a little bit better, but it just feels, I don't know. I think it's the most passionate fans usually at a stadium. So here's another tip that I have. If you get the opportunity, check the Sounder schedule, because I think for all the playoff games, Sound Transit has been, they cancel one Sounder trip so that they can add another one at the end of the day that leaves 45 minutes after the game, and they create an extra one that like gets you up there. I think I got up there like an hour and 45 minutes before the game. Super convenient, super easy, costs like $5.50. You don't have to worry about parking. If you live in Tacoma, Where I live, there's a huge parking garage. I'm sure I don't know what the other stations are like, but very easy to get up there. Yeah, have we lost every listener at this point? Just talking about transit and yes, we have, and we'll talk about the game in a second. So I go up there. I ended up going to the game alone. Bought a single ticket. Sat next to two people I don't know. Two guys who are obviously big baseball fans, but two guys who are also cerebral sports viewers, which is, I got to tell you, going to a game on your own kind of kicks ass. I've never done it. I've probably been to an event. I'm trying to rack my brain for what sporting event I would have been to. I went to a Tulsa college football game a couple years ago, but I went with the MC of the show. I think that's the closest I've come, and it's just like an MC that I didn't know very well, that wasn't super into football, but just kind of wanted to do something also, like wanted to hang. So big recommendation for going to games alone. I think it's probably also good to go to comedy shows alone, by the way. And I'm going to put this out today. If you live in Seattle, by the way, tonight, if you're listening to this the night it comes out, I am headlining Emerald City Comedy Club. You can come and get in for free if you're wearing Mariners gear. Go on their website. You can reserve spots. You just have to come in wearing Mariners gear. You can get in for free. Great new club in Seattle. Go do that. I didn't drink a single drop of alcohol, or I bought some like licorice outside the stadium, but I didn't like do any of the concessions, which is not that the Mariners have bad food, and I understand stadium beer is expensive. That's not my purpose was not at all to save money. It was to be as present as possible watching the game. I'm a self-diagnosed ADHD monster who, even as I was, without alcohol and without a bunch of food and without having to go to the bathroom a ton, still I was distracted by my phone. I was in group chats talking shit about the Mariners, etc. So big recommendation for going to baseball games on your own. Liked it a lot. These two guys, don't even know their names, never learned them. We talked a couple times during the game. Mostly we just stood quietly and all three stressed out. It was great time. Really enjoyed that. And now to the actual game. So Bryce Miller's start feels ominous to me, and he pitched great in game one. It felt ominous to me, and then Kevin Gausman was just dealing. He was pitching so well. So Bryce Miller pitched a pretty good game, and then what? It was Gabe Spire ends up giving up, I think, the go-ahead run. I think that's right. And then when it's 2-1 in the 8th inning, right? And Cal Raleigh's leading off. Talk about a couple things in the middle of that, I suppose. Between me, or right in front of me, there was a row of three, like probably early 40s Canadian guys, all Blue Jays fans. That always makes it fun, I got to say. And I guess one thing I'll say is I kind of expected it to be a little more. I thought there was going to be a little more Blue Jays heavy. I've been to Blue Jays games, Mariners Blue Jays games at T-Mobile Park, and the split was more where you want it to be, where I think there was probably 20 or more Mariners fans for every Blue Jays fan. In fact, at one point before I went into the stadium, I bought a Red Bull and I was like drinking it really fast and just kind of observing the march into the stadium from public transit and from other parts of the city. And it was just like, it was pretty cool to me to see. There was a point where probably 250 people walked by and I didn't see one like person dressed in Blue Jays gear at all. And then I would see groups of 5-10 Blue Jays fans. I'm not saying they weren't there, but like it was very Mariners heavy. Whatever social media wants to make you think, it was not a heavy Toronto Blue Jays crowd last night. I can't speak for the other nights. They booed George Springer every plate appearance. My section, they were screaming cheater. I think that one misconception. So George Springer gets hit, and by the way, I mean I was right field bleachers. The moment that hit him, how hard it bounced off of George Springer's leg, I go, oh, that's bad. I said that out loud. One of the few words I said to these three gentlemen I was sitting next to, these two guys, I go, oh, that's bad. That looks really bad. And then I went to the bathroom and I still had not seen the replay. And then I pulled up the replay on Twitter. Whew, really bad. The X-rays came back. Now I was like, that kneecap is toast. There's just no way. I mean, he got hit so hard, and he got hit, by the way. Like, I saw some people saying that he was crowding the plate. He's been crowding the plate the whole series, and that might be true. That is not the hit that you take on purpose. He was not wearing that one for the team. That was a ball that he did not think was going to hit his knee. If you watch the way he reacts to it and the way he leans into it, he is not trying to get hit by that ball. The movement of Brian Woo's fastball, I think, maybe fooled him a little bit, and he ends up getting hit. I mean, as squarely on a knee as you'll see, and he goes down hard. And there was a lot of talk about the fans cheering for or booing for his injury. And I've seen the social media says that people were booing for George Springer's injury or cheering for George Springer's injury. Social media says that people were cheering for George Springer's injury on a lot of corners of social media. That was not my experience in the section I was sitting in. They were booing George Springer, but they were booing him the entire game. Anytime he came up, he's a prominent figure on those Astros teams that were caught cheating. They were booing him and chanting cheater, cheater, cheater at him. He goes down, they boo him, and people are outraged. And I got to tell you, like, if you go to a Sounders game in this town, and I know that it's one, the injury's different, two, Sounders injuries, soccer injuries oftentimes are fake. They're time wasting, breath catching affairs. But they will often chant, and I don't know if they do this anymore. It's been many years since I've gone to a Sounders game, but they used to chant, if a guy obviously flopped, they'd go, "Let him die! Let him die!" Mariners fans were booing George Springer, not because he got injured, not because they were happy he got injured, not because they were happy that Brian Wu hit him. They were booing him because he was a cheater. And I'll say, like, it wasn't in the greatest taste, but they weren't happy about the injury. Nobody in my section, which was, again, it's the bleachers. It was a pretty passionate section, and they were booing George Springer the entire game. Nobody was happy that he got injured, that I saw, that I experienced. But I will say, I also saw fans say that they were booing the pitcher for hitting George Springer. Some people thought it was Blue Jays fans that were booing. That's absolutely not true. It was Mariners fans that were booing. They were booing Brian Wu or wooing Brian Wu for hitting George Springer. Also not true. They were just booing George Springer. And I understand booing George Springer, and I understand how it seems like it's in bad taste to boo him at the point that point where he's injured on the ground. And I'm not making an argument against it. I think sometimes fan bases act in a way that's not the most compassionate. And I'm not like, if the other option is to be like many years ago when I went to a baseball game at the then Safeco Field, right after the Pen had opened, and I remember there were multiple booths that were not in view of either a TV screen or the game itself, that with people sitting at the meeting. The like lack of engagement versus like, would I rather have a fan base that's super engaged and sometimes misses the mark on when they cheer and boo, or would I rather have a fan base that's completely disengaged like the Mariners fan base has been historically? And I will take the ones that are booing when it's indecent 100% of the time. And certainly Blue Jays fans have been obnoxious in that stadium. Certainly many fan bases have been obnoxious in that stadium. Is it in poor taste? Sure. Do the Mariners need to reckon with their fan base? Does the fan base need to soul search, or whatever John Schneider said? No, and fuck off. That's my take on it. So Cal Raleigh made like the huge double play, very heads up double play where it's bases loaded, swinging bunt, he touches home, throws to first, gets the Mariners out of a jam. Josh Naylor, who I've said this about over and over and over again, I was not stoked when the Mariners traded for him. I thought he was fine. I didn't think he was like an obvious upgrade over, like, say, Luke Raley if he was healthy. I thought that the bat wasn't going to play incredibly well, and there's been stretch. I mean, he's not like a traditional power hitter. I will say that. Josh Naylor, the defense has been good, at least according to the eye test. I don't know what the data says, but he just seems like a guy. And there's a guy that I played with growing up that I'm not going to say his name, but that was just like an absolute grinder. Just squeezed every bit out of every play. And that's what I feel like about Josh. Like, I know some folks that live in Ontario, and they're like, yeah, we hate that guy. He's from Ontario. They're like, we hate that guy. He's a pain in the ass. He's a thorn in our side. And the more, I'm not of the mind of someone who's like, just give Josh Naylor whatever he wants to keep him in Seattle. That's not my mentality at all. But what I really would hate is to be his enemy. Josh Naylor seems like a pain in the ass to play against. And if the Mariners can avoid it, I think they should. I've come around on the idea of extending Josh Naylor in the offseason. Raleigh makes the big defensive play. Well, let me pull up. I had some notes that I wrote on the train on the way. By the way, that sounder train is the way to go, but I got to tell you, I wrote it for many years ago. Those Mariners games caused some etiquette issues that I tweeted about it, but that there was just these dudes playing full volume, like when you go to the airplane and they're like, if you're gonna listen to music or watch something on your phone, you have to do it with headphones on. They got to do that same announcement on, because I got like 4 different not in sync versions of the Dodgers game. I got Mariners highlights. We got Alex Rodriguez commentary going on. It's too much. It's too much. When Cal goes up in the 8th inning, Mariners down 1, and you're like, this is probably Cal's last at bat for this game. Was it the 7th inning or the 8th inning? Now I want to see, because that game like flies. The pitch clock, by the way, just a perfect, beautiful invention. Mariners game 5. Let's see if we can get this box score up quickly. Oh man, when Randy, this brought me back to it. When Randy Arozarena caught that ball at the wall, I was so certain that ball was gone. My section had sat down. So I was sitting down, and the way that ball came off the bat, I was so certain it was gone that I'm trying to get to this box score. Come on. There we go. Yeah, so it was the 8th inning. Okay, that's right. I was so certain it was gone, I didn't even sit up from my seat. And then when the crowd started cheering, I had these Canadians standing in front of me and didn't get to see what Randy Arozarena had done. And they were actually pretty slow getting the replay on the big screen. So I will say, like, that's a play that I'm happy Randy Arozarena made. I would not call it a good play. Like, he took a really ugly route to that ball, but he got there. That's the most important thing. So 8th inning comes around. Cal Raleigh leading off, feels a little hopeless after Julio gets retired at the bottom of the 7th. And I just remember thinking, like, it's kind of got to start with Cal. Like, I don't believe in absolutes. I don't believe in this, like, the wishy-washy or the squishy stuff in baseball very much. I don't believe in. I don't even believe in momentum. Like, intellectually, I don't believe in momentum. Emotionally, I understand it. I understand how people believe in momentum. In fact, I probably get there emotionally, but I was watching Cal warm up before the 8th inning, and I was just like, it feels like this is, like, all or nothing. Like, if Cal doesn't do something here, there's just no way that the Mariners have a chance to overcome this deficit. And of course, Cal hits the home run, which, again, like, in the stadium, that did not look, that the launch angle on that and how much it hung up in the air, to me, that did not look like it was going to go out of the stadium. I had a very good angle of that because it goes down the left field line. That looked like a fly ball to the warning track off the bat to me, and it ends up going out huge. Obviously, Mariners tie it, and then load the bases, and Suarez hits the grand slam, and that's the decisive moment of the game. But it did feel to me like if Cal had not done that, it would have very drastically changed the events that followed. Like whether that's because the pitcher is less rattled or whatever. Like it just seemed like that was the last gasp the Mariners had, the last chance. And I know this intellectually is not true. They only used 24 outs. They would have had, if Cal Raleigh gets out there, they would have had 5 more outs and only 1 run left to score. But it just felt like that moment was going to be so pivotal to whether or not they were able to win that game, and for their best player to be up and for him to come through in the way. I mean, has anybody in the history of the Mariners been like really lived up to it in the big moments like Cal has? I don't know. So yeah, then I mean, very fun environment after the game. So much shit talk. Enough Blue Jays fans to catch a lot of stray shit talk. Very fun. Electric environment, I would say. If you can afford it, it's expensive. I paid $250. There's a pretty good chance that it's going to be, I would guess, like double that for the World Series if the Mariners make it. If you can afford it, it's worth it. It lived up. The first couple innings, I will say, I was like, oh, this is like not that much better than a regular season game. I haven't been to that. I mean, the Mariners are the Mariners, and baseball is baseball. I haven't been to that many sold out games at T-Mobile Park, but um, yeah, it was awesome. It was it like I said, it lived up to the moment. Um, and then by the way, I mean, Shohei Ohtani ends up God, what did he have? He pitched 6 innings, 10 strikeouts, no runs, 2 hits, 3 walks, and hits 3 home runs. And in my group chat, we were talking about, they said one for the ages. All the superlatives are one for the ages. And a friend of mine brought this up because I don't have a good argument against it. And please comment because I feel like I'm missing something. Is it the best baseball game that's ever been played? Because certainly Babe Ruth, I'm sure, had some like good pitching performances and good hitting performances. Has there ever been a pitcher who hit 3 home runs in a game, period, regardless of their pitching performance? And then to be a pitcher, certainly there hasn't been one, I don't think, that stayed into DH after they were pulled as a pitcher. Um, and certainly, I don't think there's been one who pitched 6 innings, 10 strikeouts in a playoff game and hit 3 home runs. Has there been a better, ever in the history of baseball, performance in a baseball game? And I do think that the stakes of the playoffs make it more important. Because who was the guy? Was it Sean Green many years ago that hit he was like 5 for 6 with, no, 6 for 6 with, no, maybe he was 5 for 5 with 4 home runs. And so he had like 19 total bases, I want to say. And I think he had double digits RBIs in that game and 4 home runs total. I mean, just an absolute monster performance. But he didn't pitch 6 shutout innings. I know that much. Especially in today's baseball, where a starting pitcher in the playoffs, I mean, not the Dodgers have been stretching some guys out, but like going 6 innings isn't that common anymore for a starter in the playoffs. Pretty incredible. Okay, like I said, tonight I will be at Emerald City Comedy Club. Please come check that out. It's going to be a very fun time. Wear your Mariners gear, get in free. Come say hi to me after the show. I would love that. Thank you for listening to this podcast. I hope that you get a chance to go to a Mariners game during the playoffs. I'm also like doing work on the screen. I'm looking away, trying to get this done. Yeah, I hope that you get a chance to go out to a game. Such lived up to the hype, worth every penny. Thank you for listening to this podcast, and I will talk to you later. We'll talk later next week about what, like, by the end of Monday, maybe after Monday's game, if the Mariners need it, we'll have a conversation, maybe a live stream about what is in the future, whether it's the World Series or the offseason. All right, thanks. I'll talk to you later. Oh boy, it didn't do it. It didn't do it. End the recording.